Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. This is another edition of the IBFP's news, and we're just going to break down current events and topics trending in boxing. And the first thing we're going to start with is Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs could potentially fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. On November 16th to 23rd. And my thoughts on this is that I think that'll be a good comeback fight for Daniel Jacobs after getting outclassed against Canelo Alvarez. He was competitive in the fight, but he didn't do enough to get the win. Canelo Alvarez won the fight convincingly, so that's not an issue there. A lot of fanboys like to make light of Canelo Alvarez's fights, but Canelo Alvarez convincingly won the fight. Daniel Jacobs was competitive in the fight. It was a very good, interesting fight, but Daniel Jacobs needs to redeem himself, needs to get a belt at 168 or even try to get one at 160, put himself back in the mix for another big fight. I think Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a good tune-up fight for him. I don't see Chavez Jr. as anything more than a tune-up at this point for Daniel Jacobs. But let's just keep it going. Canelo Alvarez, according to Mike Coppinger, Canelo Alvarez, his attorney, Eddie Reynoso, met with Golden Boy reps Monday in LA, where the star fighter expressed his immense frustration with two potential fall fights falling through and the IBF title being stripped after a deal was signed without his knowledge. In addition to this, one source described Canelo as being very much in limbo, and the middleweight champion, regarded as the face of boxing, is perplexed that he's still without a fight or an opponent for later this year on DAZN. And what it looks like here is Golden Boy is mismanaging Canelo Alvarez altogether. These guys don't know what they're doing. They were recently criticized by Ryan Garcia. I just think that, Golden Boy right now is in a state of flux where these guys just can't seem to get it right. These guys have to understand that when you have the face of boxing like Canelo Alvarez, you can't screw that up. I just believe, the type of promoter that Bob Arum is, a type of promoter that, Eddie Hearn is. These guys are professional when it comes to handling these things and getting their fighters dates, because if you don't have your fighter and have a fight lined up, you can say a lot about Hearn and Arum, but that these guys get their fighters their fights, their dates, and they get them on time every time. You've seen Bob Arum do this with countless fighters, Vasily Lomachenko, and you've seen Eddie Hearn do it with Anthony Joshua. These guys have big fighters as well, and they make sure to secure the dates without all these limbo and frustrations and things like that. So, we'll see what Oscar De La Hoya does. I fully anticipate Golden Boy and Canelo Alvarez working things out, smoothing things over. But if they don't, since he's already signed to DAZN, I'm sure that there's some kind of deal that would be reached where Canelo Alvarez would probably be moved over or bought out to some degree by Matchroom Boxing. But we'll see what happens. But let's just keep it going. Shakur Stephenson versus Joed Gonzalez is ordered for the WBL title, and this is because Oscar Valdez has blatantly ducked Shakur Stephenson. A lot of people are saying, well, he's moving up in weight to challenge himself for the big fights he's deserving. He may be deserving, but the fact that he stated that he could make the weight, but is deciding to move up because, he was looking for other opportunities, but he could make the weight for certain fighters. That's just a complete and plain and utter duck. He should have fought Shakur Stephenson. There's no excuse for that. It's an obvious duck. But let's keep it going. Adam Kownacki's manager states, that Adam Kownacki will go through Wilder's right hand, walk through Wilder's right hand, and knock him out. This is a direct quote from his manager. He'll take the right hand from Wilder. He'll walk through him, and he's going to knock him out. That's what's going to happen. He's going to knock him out. And I think that's admirable to believe your guy. But, after a very hard fight, most recently from Adam Kownacki, where he took a lot of shots, and some people thought the decision should have been closer than what it was. I just don't think that Adam Kownacki can absorb that type of punishment, because he was visually affected by some shots, but never visually hurt. I will say that Adam Kownacki has never felt the type of shot that Deontay Wilder, one of the strongest, is known as one of the strongest big punchers in the sport of boxing. I just can't imagine Adam Kownacki can take that shot and keep going and not hit the canvas. I think if Deontay Wilder and Adam Kownacki met, Deontay Wilder would probably stop Kownacki within the first 3 or 4 rounds due to the fact that Adam Kownacki's defense is just not there. He absorbs and takes way too many shots, and the fact that they're even thinking about just absorbing that shot and moving on and trying to knock him out just shows where their mind frame is. These guys must be looking for a check, because there's no way Adam Kwanaki is walking through their right hand and knocking out Deontay Wilder. But let's keep going. And the next thing is Terence Crawford. And this is a direct quote from Terence Crawford. He states, "When I came to 147, nobody wanted to chase me. I'm chasing them. I want all the smoke. A lot of people say I'm too small. He ain't did this, he ain't did that. Well, show me. I got a title. They said get a title. I got a title. They said I ain't fought nobody. I just think a lot of people try to make it about politics, And this is according to a Fight Hype interview. He also states, they try to make it like it's two sides of the street and all that. Being that Luis Collazo is with PBC and so is Felix Diaz and John Molina. I just think when it comes down to their best fighters, the PBC fighting another network's best fighter, it becomes a business. And if it doesn't make sense, then why, not fight somebody from your own stable? That makes sense. At the end of the day, these guys are plain and obvious ducks. No one at the PBC believes that they can beat Terence Crawford, because if they truly believed that any of the fighters on their stable at 147 pounds could beat Terence Crawford, they would have mashed him up immediately and took the belt and made quick work of him. But since Terence Crawford is fighting at 147 and not 135 like Mikey Garcia, and moving up in weight from 135 to 147, they're not willing to take that risk, such as an Errol Spence. See, Errol Spence was willing to fight Mikey Garcia, who had proved nothing at 147 pounds, because he was guaranteed a big payday, because Mikey Garcia didn't represent the threat perceived that Terence Crawford would represent. So at the end of the day, these guys truly just don't want to fight Terence Crawford. He's the true boogeyman of the 147-pound division, and he's obviously ducked and feared by the entire PBC. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.